Trump triumphs, Lutyens lament. Third for Rahul's cheerleaders and deep state crew. Debating tonight at 8:30 p.m. The Vogues versus right-wingers. Arnab drills down why the Vogues lose to the right. When will the Vogues learn to read the room? Debating tonight at 9 p.m.
America has given us an unprecedented and powerful mandate. We have taken back control of the Senate. Wow, that's good. The number of victories in the Senate was absolutely incredible. And it also looks like we'll be keeping control of the House of Representatives.
Arnab dissects what Trump term will mean for Bharat. Trump back stronger, Indian markets zoom. Arnab asks, will Trump work for Indian interests? Debating tonight at 8 p.m.
America has given us an unprecedented and powerful mandate. We have taken back control of the Senate. Wow, that's good. The number of victories in the Senate was absolutely incredible. And it also looks like we'll be keeping control of the House of Representatives.
From Asia's largest news headquarters, setting the agenda for Bharat. You're watching Republic.
From the Republic Media Network headquarters, it's time for Arnab Goswami on The Debate. Arnab Goswami on The Debate.
Well, Donald Trump is going to be, once again, for his second term, the President of the United States of America, the 47th President of the US. And the question everybody is asking is, how is this going to work for India? Well, at one level, it's going to work out great because Donald Trump personally has a wonderful equation with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He respects Narendra Modi. He's spoken about him so many times in interviews and statements. And it's quite clear that at a level of personal chemistry, both the leaders are strong leaders in complete control of their respective countries. For Narendra Modi, it is his third term. For Donald Trump, it is his second term. Both are leaders with cult followings and quick decision makers. So at a level of personal chemistry, I think there is a world of possibility out there that Narendra Modi and Donald Trump will do great things together, that they will be able to take quick decisions, cut the red tape, and make things work. Having said that, and despite the fact that many people believe that Donald Trump wants America and India to work together, and I too believe that he does want America and India to work together, I have no doubt that compared to Kamala Harris sees a much better alternative as the president of the USA from an Indian perspective. But we must be extremely watchful as well, because there are things you say during an election. How Donald Trump will be in his second term towards India will only be found out after he enters the White House for a second term. And I would be watchful for three reasons. The first reason is because he's a protectionist. He loves Narendra Modi. He says Narendra Modi is a great leader, someone I'm very fond of. He's a fantastic man. But at the same time, he says that India is a big abuser of tariffs. And he has said that anyone who deals in foreign trade not using the dollar or not depending on the dollar will face 100% tariff blockages in the United States of America. Now, will he actually follow through on that? Remember, viewers, Donald Trump says one thing and does another many, many times. He goes back and then he conveniently forgets what he says. But if he plans to do that, if he wants to punish India for being part of a group that is going to encourage alternatives to, if not de-dollarization, alternatives to the dollar, then I think we're in for a rough ride, because Donald Trump wants 100% tariff on goods from countries that move away from the United States dollar in terms of global trade. He has said so in an election rally. The second reason I would be very watchful about Donald Trump is because he's going to put in heavy restrictions on immigration. Heavy restrictions. And remember, viewers, in his first term, the number of people who were denied H-1B visas went up 3 times. The number of people who were denied a simple L-1 visa went from 12 to 28%, 2.5 times. So he's going to make it very, very difficult for Indian nationals to get visas to work in the United States or even visit the United States for extended periods of time, because he is going to try and get an employment for US nationals. So he's going to be very protectionist in terms of the immigration policy, in terms of restrictions on visas. So I would be very watchful with him as far as that is concerned. In fact, he won't even allow automatic citizenship for children. Those born in the US will not automatically become US citizens. If he has his way, he's going to make sure one of them has a parent who's a US citizen or legally living on an extended residence permit in the United States. So he's very, very protectionist. And the third reason I would be watchful about Donald Trump is because I don't know how he's going to deal with Russia. And the fact that we are working very closely with Russia. At some point, it is possible that our stance could end up hurting him. Is he going to be different from the deep state? We know Donald Trump himself is a victim of the deep state. But the deep state hated India's nation-first position. And remember, Putin has not yet congratulated Trump because technically the United States is not a friendly country. Remember, viewers, see the muted language that came in from China, which says that we are going to work on the basis of mutual respect. Not a very warm and effusive welcome to Donald Trump in his second term. So beyond the fact that Putin and Trump may get along personally more than Biden and Putin ever did or ever will in the future, the fact is how Trump responds to the warmth between India and Russia is something we'll have to see and examine. So it's a changing world. Personally, I believe Donald Trump is a very practical man. He wants to do business. I think he's going to say a lot of things in the election. He may not follow through to the T after that. I think he's going to be reasonable. I think he's going to realize that he has to do business with India. Rhetoric is not enough. And that trying to make the kind of noises he made in his first term when he threatened sanctions, when we wanted to buy S-400 anti-aircraft missiles from Russia, that did not work, that needed India change its line, needed Narendra Modi change his line. I think this time he would be more practical and reasonable in his expectations of what India will or won't do. That's my analysis. So I'm not among those who think, oh, his coming back is going to be just fantastic for India. Not necessarily. He's better than Kamala Harris. But we are going to have to watch him on a day-by-day basis. Ladies and gentlemen, debate number 1 is on what the impact is, what the impact of Trump coming back is for India. Debate number 2 this evening on how the indie lobby doesn't have a go-to anymore in the US. And debate number 3, ladies and gentlemen, is on why the wokes lost. I personally believe is the media which lost. It's the wokes who lost. Kamala Harris was just a puppet, just a mukhota, as they say. That's Debate 3 at 9 o'clock, and here are the headlines this Wednesday evening on the Debate Tonight. After a mammoth mandate, Donald J. Trump wins the US presidential elections to become the 47th President of the United States of America. Trump wins the elections, should I say sweeps the elections. The focus is now on India-US ties. Trump's victory is seen largely positive, mainly due to his chemistry with Prime Minister Modi. The left liberal media totally loses it after the Trump win. Dejection and shockwaves spread around the American and European newsrooms that painted only negative pictures of the American president. Trump's victory cautions Putin. Kremlin says the US is still a hostile state and that only time will tell if Trump's rhetoric on ending the Ukraine war translates into reality. So naturally, we have a singular focus today, Donald J. Trump becoming the 47th President of the United States of America. What does this mean for India? From visas to the Trump-Modi bonhomie, is bonhomie enough? Or will we, as I said at the start, have to be very watchful this time? Let's take an overview and then we'll debate this.
हम सब खड़े होकर के नमस्ते ट्रम्प, नमस्ते ट्रम्प,
Namaste.
the words of candidate Trump. अब की बार ट्रम्प सरकार.
Donald Trump sweeps victory to become the 47th President of the United States. What does this landslide victory mean for India? Prime Minister Modi took to X to congratulate Donald Trump on his clincher victory. Trump has time and again talked about his good rapport with Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
Modi, India. He's a friend of mine. He's great. We have a great relationship with India. I did. And with especially the leader, Modi. He's a great leader, great man. Really is a great man. He's brought it together. He's done a great job. But they probably charge as much. I mean, I think they probably charge more than, in many ways, China. But they do it with a smile, you know.
Be it the Howdy Modi event back in 2016.
Prime Minister Modi is doing a truly exceptional job for India and for all of the Indian people. It is my immense privilege to be here with him today at this profoundly historic event.
Or the Namaste Trump tour in 2020, where the Trump-Modi bonhomie was in ample display.
A sense of leadership, a passion for America, a concern for every American. He needs no introduction. The President of the United States of America, Mr. Donald Trump.
Trump's aide, Shalabh Kumar, has voiced concerns about Kamala's take on Article 370 abrogation and Harris's unclear stance on violence against the Hindus.
Kamala has radical views on Kashmir. Every time Joe Biden gets a chance, every time Kamala gets a chance, Kamala will be even more enhanced. Prime Minister Modi and BJP in India is persecuting minorities. Forget about what's happening in Bangladesh. Forget about what's happening everywhere else against Hindus. To them, Hindus are the majority and the radical Islam. I'm not just going to say Muslims, but radical Islam is minority.
Moments after Trump's victory, Sensex had zoomed 1,000 points. Moreover, Nifty percentage experienced a 1.5% surge, with its stocks also experiencing a massive boom. Bitcoin prices had reached an all-time high. On one hand, higher tariffs on Chinese products could offer the edge to India's exports, while on the other hand, a strengthening US dollar may increase India's import expense. Analysts believe that the Indo-US business climate will benefit massively, while at the same time, there remains anticipated rise in US fiscal deficit. As Trump embarks on his second White House term, all eyes on what this victory means for the Indian apparatus.
So first we have with us a Member of Parliament and now a candidate in the upcoming Maharashtra elections. But tonight he's joining me because of his deep association both with American politics and with the Trump family. He knows the Trump family very, very well. And so Milind, thanks for taking time out from the campaign trail. You know the family, you know what they stand for. Are we expecting too much from Donald Trump in this term? Everyone's so enthusiastic about it. Why are we so enthusiastic about Trump?
Well, Arnab, firstly, thank you for having me on your show this evening. I have the good fortune of certainly of knowing President Donald Trump's son, Don Trump Jr. I have a good relationship with another senior man who fought as an independent initially in the presidential race and then supported President Trump, Robert Kennedy, RFK Jr. And I was hearing your introductory remarks, and I would say make a few comments. One is, my late father was one of the earliest proponents of stronger Indo-US ties back in the 80s when it was very, very inconvenient to be an Indian politician who wanted to deepen ties with the US. I remember him telling me how he worked across the aisle with Democrats like Steve Solars, Republicans like Larry Pressler, who initiated the Pressler Amendment, which prevented almost $5 billion of American aid going to Pakistan, and how difficult it was to convince people on the Capitol Hill that India is a natural political, cultural, social, economic ally. I do believe, number one, that regardless of who comes to power in America, and to be fair, what a government in India looks like, the Indo-US relationship is here to stay. The Indo-US relationship has also matured to a level where America is fully aware of our historic ties with countries like Russia. And in that sense, the relationship is now one of two good friends who've been friends for a long time, who trust each other, support each other. But having said that, I do agree with you that it would be wrong on anyone's part to assume that because there may be camaraderie between the two leaders, that certainly helps in any relationship, in any bilateral relationship. I do think that President Trump will ultimately look out for what is in America's interests. President Trump ultimately, don't forget, one of his biggest policies in 2016 when he became president was to reduce America's dependence on Chinese supply chains, on global supply chains, bring manufacturing back to America. That comes with a cost. That increases inflation in their country. It makes goods and services more expensive in America. But he did that because he felt it's important to create jobs in America and not to use the American consumption story to essentially subsidize the economies of China, if you will. Prime Minister Modi did the same thing in 2014. In fact, Prime Minister Modi, to his credit, did it 2 years before President Trump, when he announced the Make in India initiative. So I think what's very critical to note is that America will look out for its own interests. India will look out and must look out for its own interests. If those two interests converge, so be it. But there may be times, especially in the area of trade, where those relations may clash. However, I do believe, from a political point of view, from a strategic point of view, today our interests are aligned in the Indo-Pacific. Our interests are aligned for a free and fair Indo-Pacific, a South China, in terms of reducing the aggression with regards to what's happening in South China Sea. I can go a step further. As someone who serves on the board of the Arctic Circle, that the Arctic, Arnab, is the next frontier Today, the whole world is focused on the South China Sea, but as ice is melting in the Arctic, new shipping routes are becoming available through the northern sea route over Siberia. Effectively, a ship can carry cargo from China to Europe in lesser days through the Arctic route, through the northern sea route, than it can through the traditional route of going through the South China Sea and eventually through the Suez Canal. So even in the Arctic, there is essentially some kind of confrontation building up, not just between America and Russia, but one of the biggest players in the Arctic today is China. It calls itself a near-Arctic state. And there's tremendous opportunities for us to cooperate there as well. So I think on the strategic side, I see great potential in the Trump Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji relationship that will certainly help us punch way beyond our weight. But on the economic side, I think we may see certain issues with regards to trade, and that's natural. Both of us should look out for our own interests.
Yeah, but okay, so just a quick follow-up on that before I let you go. Milind, what about Pakistan, Kashmir? You know, it was felt that Kamala Harris, the woke stance, would be very, very pro-Pakistan, anti-India, established positions on that. You think Trump is much more on our side on that?
Absolutely. I would say, to be very honest with you, not to wear a political hat, but to be completely honest here, I think that, Kamala Harris may have been a slightly between a center-left Democrat and a progressive Democrat. But I think President Joe Biden was a center-left Democrat. And President Joe Biden also understood realpolitik. He was very pragmatic about America's stance on these issues. But I certainly see with President Trump that woke culture of having to please certain constituents, even though they know it's wrong, even though they know it's not in America's strategic interest, even though it's actually inaccurate. What we see, for example, in Canada, that will not be something that we see under President Trump. So I think there will be realpolitik, there will be real relations based on factual issues. Wokeness will certainly die a natural death in America, I hope, for the long term and permanently. But I do believe that we will have a certain dispute here and there on trade, and I think that's natural. America has every right to look out for its national interests. We have every right to look out for ours.
Of course.
Mind you, there are many areas, Arnab, where America is competing directly with China, whether it's in space, whether it's in robotics, whether it's in quantum computing. But there are many areas where America and India are both looking out for their own interests, and essentially there could be a clash in the future. One very good example is semiconductor chips. To reduce America and India's dependence on Taiwan, both countries have some form of a chip act. America calls it a CHIPS Act. We have a PLI, production-linked incentive scheme, 10,000 crore rupees to encourage domestic production of wafer fabs and semiconductor chips. The same is true of artificial intelligence. America is a huge hub of artificial intelligence competing against China. They have huge companies like NVIDIA. But we are also using production-linked incentives to encourage data centers to be housed in India. So these are areas where you may see some competition on trade. But as I said, I do believe politically, when it comes to issues like Kashmir, and more importantly, strategically, all the way from the Indo-Pacific to the Arctic, we will see greater cooperation under Trump.
Wow. Thank you for making time from your campaign, and all the best for that election. You must be feeling very inspired today as well. Milind, thank you very much. I'd like to go to our panel now. We have Suhel Seth after a long time back on air with PK Basu. We see Alok Bansal, Sushant Sareen, and we have, after a long time, Ravi Batra, well-known member of the South Asian Indian community there in New York. So, Ravi, are we getting romantic about the possibilities of what Trump could do for India-US relationship? Are we getting a little sort of carried away? What do you think this will do to our mutual relationship?
I think, first of all, today is a very happy day because America is reborn today. It is our resurrection of 1776 and 1787. India, by the way, should be our #1 cheerleader for this rebirth because it was the Indian tea in Boston Tea Harbor that started the American Revolution. And India, of course, paid the heavy price to Lord Cornwallis after he lost to our General George Washington. But today, America is finding its roots. It's celebrating its roots because, after all, America is born out of leaving Europe, and the problems of Europe in this 17th and 18th century. So